Welcome to Unit 8. This unit tells the stories of some unusual individuals who use their creativity, determination and resourcefulness to perform, travel or live at the extremes. Listen to people talking about what they think about personal challenge and taking risks.
I think some people challenge themselves because it allows them to find their limits and to better themselves.
I think some people aren't content to just be satisfied with the way things are. I think some people think there's always something better or more exciting than what they've got at the moment, and other people are just happy to be content.
I think it must be in the blood. I think it's the genetic makeup that you have, the stock that you come from, to some extent how you're brought up and the values that you have. There are people who just like to live life at 10/10ths, and there are people who are happier with quieter time. You know, I don't think there's a simple answer to that.
I think that challenging yourself is a way of finding out about yourself, to discover your potential and to discover what you're capable of achieving. Yeah.
Because I feel life today needs risks, needs people that have challenges to make them feel whole.
I think mostly people take some risk for adrenaline, I think, and some are for, educating yourself and, see how far you can come. Yeah, I think.
Well, I think they want to become a better person, and I think it's also the fact that not knowing is a grey area, and I think putting your feet in the water makes a difference.
I think that we're all driven to push ourselves and our boundaries. I think that human beings are innately curious and would like to just learn more about the world. So I think a lot of people take risks to try and push the boundaries of what they know and what they feel and what they can do. Yeah.
I think I like to take a fair amount of risk. Not too much risk, but I think some risk in what you do is good for you.
I think in my case, I have a sense of what I need to have to continue to have an enjoyable life, and the rest are kind of things you're prepared to, I won't say gamble with, but take calculated risks. I think as well, risk is to some extent in the eye of the beholder. If it's a field that you're familiar with and you know what you're doing, the risk probably seems lower to you than it does to someone from outside that field who may not be so familiar with it.
I like to take a certain amount of risk. It's hard to quantify, I suppose. I'm obviously travelling overseas by myself at the moment, so there's a certain amount of risk involved in that. But I also like some adventure sports, but I wouldn't climb Mount Everest. I wouldn't try to surf one of the giant waves in Hawaii, partly because I'm not a very good surfer. But I think a moderate amount of risk is a good thing. I like to get out into the outdoors and challenge myself, in some ways. Yep.
I would like to think I'm fairly risky in what I do. I like challenges. I like to challenge myself. I feel if I can overcome a challenge, I've achieved something. It's something of a personal best.
Well, the first time I moved from home, from my parents, I moved to London. So I think that was quite a risk to take. I had a job, but that's it. So, yeah. Well, it brought up some anxiety, I think, but it was fine, and it's easy to find a flat here. So, yeah, I think went great.
I am very risk averse. Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say I am a curious person. I like to try new things and experience new things. So I'd say I'm more adventurous than risk-taking. Let's put that.
Climber Tim Chamberlain can often be spotted high among the branches of one of the many spectacular trees that grow in the countryside where he lives in the south of Scotland.
My love of climbing came from childhood, I suppose. I climbed trees as a child, but very small ones. And then I climbed slightly larger trees and got a little bit scared. And then I took up bird work and spent a lot of time working at height with birds in the trees. And I just love being up there. Trees give me an amazing sense of tranquility and sort of ease of being up there. When I climb a tree, it takes you into a space that is very relaxing and rewarding and away from all the chaos of the rest of the world.
Tim, whose previous career was monitoring rare birds, now runs his own company called Wild Tree Adventures. The company, which is based in the Scottish borders, is a recreational tree climbing company.
This company came about because I decided to move back to Scotland to help people see the magic of tree climbing and see the magic of trees that are here right on their doorstep, that they don't really necessarily notice, too busy walking past them or driving past. And what we do is we get people to stop and look up, climb up and actually experience the magic of being up in these trees right on their doorstep.
Most of us who are adults probably haven't climbed a tree for a very long time. And the experience that Tim offers his customers is quite different to that memory of playing in the trees of your local park as a kid.
What we do is different because we are taking people way up high into the canopy of the trees using specialist rope and equipment to get people up into really complex and interesting situations to experience what it is like to be up in the trees. The type of people that come and climb with us are all ages really. Some of them can be as young as 6, and we had a lady for her 80th birthday party the other day. She was fabulous, climbing right up high into the canopy of the tree. So our tree climbing is for anyone really, as long as you're keen, have a sense of adventure, don't mind a little bit of a challenge. And if you have a fear of heights, it doesn't matter because we have ways to overcome that.
Today, Tim is at the stunning Doik Botanic Gardens, which is home to some of the oldest and tallest trees in Britain. The 65-acre site has tree specimens from around the world. Tim is preparing to take a customer who has never been climbing before up one of Doik's most impressive and unusual trees. This Douglas fir, which was planted nearly 200 years ago, has grown to nearly 30 metres tall. No one is quite sure why the tree has such an unusual shape, dividing off into nearly 20 separate stems like an octopus. Making sure that the climber is safe while they are having fun is the most important part of Tim's work.
Children today are often told that they can't climb trees because we are very risk averse in today's society, and that means that people don't know how to judge risk. And actually what we are doing is we are doing something dangerous, but we are doing it safely. With a tree such as the one we're climbing today, I have been here and specially risk assessed it and spent a lot of time inspecting and checking. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on just to make sure that it's all very safe.
Even with all the safety equipment, the helmet, the harness, all the specialist ropes, the tree still looks daunting to the new climber. So Tim clearly explains how to climb safely using the system of ropes and knots. He is reassuring and encouraging, and soon the climber is ready to go. Tim makes it very clear that what they want to do is climb at their own pace. So, slowly, they start to make their way up into the branches of the magnificent tree. Initially, Tim watches from below, but after a while he comes up to join the climber. For someone who's not climbed before, the climb can be tiring. About halfway up the tree, they are exhausted and it's time for a break. Up in the tree canopy, where they can also enjoy stunning views across the gardens, they can really appreciate the beauty of the tree itself.
When you're actually up inside the tree, you're feeling the tree moving and swaying. You get a huge understanding of how the tree actually acts and lives in different weather conditions. And often that's where the wildlife is, right up there in the canopy, and you get the birds flitting right in front of you, and that's really special.
But relaxing on one of the tree's high branches is also a good opportunity to look down. And it's at this point that some climbers can lose their nerve.
Sometimes they feel elated being up there in the canopy. Sometimes they feel a little bit nervous because that's when they look down and realise that they are 20-something metres up above the ground, and the people who are waiting and watching are very small. And if people get scared, sometimes I get them to shut their eyes and just listen. And in that little tranquil moment, they realise that they are fine.
Up in the tree, there's time for Tim to share some of his knowledge of the trees, the landscape, and the wildlife of Doik. There's also time for a quick snack, which Tim has baked himself. It's up to the climber how high they go. They can stop wherever and whenever they want. Time flies when you are having fun, and eventually the climber has to come back down to earth. That's much quicker than climbing up. Tim gives everyone who climbs with him an unforgettable experience. It's an experience that's totally safe, but also thrilling. It really is a wild tree adventure.
For people who haven't climbed since childhood, I would say please come and give it a go. It is a very exciting and rewarding experience, and after a little bit of learning, which is always good, then you'll rediscover your joy of climbing up these fantastic trees.